is a retake because it may have been lost to the ether. But how are you? This is a video where I talk once again about things, and notably, I am going to talk about what Bitcoin did and is going to do. And I told you Bitcoin was going to do this. Okay, what am I saying? Well, Bitcoin yesterday, after that nice little run up on the 29th of August, did something that a lot of FOMO heads over leveraged long positions were not expecting because they were using silly voodoo TA. And I said, this thing isn't going to the moon just yet. And you saw YouTube Jimmies like Alex Becker and other people saying, oh, it's never going below 60,000 again, ever. And I said, well, there is still a mean reversion happening on the 1 hour time frame to the 3012 RMLR, which was at the time down around 57, 58K. And sure enough, at around 2 p.m. Eastern time in the US, the asset fell from around down to like 58 and change, almost 59 basically. And people were freaking out, oh no, it's not going up. We lost the whole day's worth of gains in an hour. And that was not at all a surprise to me. In fact, during our live stream yesterday on Alpha Trading, we even mentioned the upside targets, and it hit it perfectly. And we mentioned the downside targets, and eventually it hit those perfectly too. In fact, on that 1 hour candle. And in fact, it hit the upside target during the live stream, at which point we said, hey, look out for those downside targets now. And sure enough, within, during that hour or the very next hour, it began to have flat returns. Right, it wicked up and back down on the hourly at the 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time candle. And then in the next candle, had a little bit of a reprieve, and people were thinking, oh, yeah, it's going back up, it's going back up. And I was saying, no, that mean reversion is still very much in play. And on the very next candle, it began to drop, and then it dropped again. And that was, the candle at which point all those days' gains were taken back, all those upside gains. The question is, did you listen? Right? Did you actually trade the probabilities of the VEPs, or did you think you could outsmart the VEPs and trade against it and lose all your gains? Right? If you had listened to the VEPs, if you had read what the VEPs were telling you, and if you'd taken the trades according to the probabilities and not try to counter trade the tools, then you would have made out nicely to the upside and the downside. But did you? Right? Did you actually do that? Because it was very clear that the 1 hour time frame was in mean reversion to the 3012 RMLR. So when I saw, YouTubers and X posters saying, oh, it's never going below 60K again, I was laughing hard, especially when it came right back down to just above that 3012 RMLR on the 1 hour time frame. At which point I said, now watch as people start ripping their hair out as it goes sideways for a number of hours, and then eventually completes that RMLR, that mean reversion to the RMLR, which it did some hours later, in the early hours of the new day on the candle, on the daily, right? The 1 hour at around midnight U.S. Eastern Time completed that mean reversion. And sure enough, once it did that, right, what did it do after zigzagging sideways for some hours on the hourly candle and driving people nuts? What did it do? It started going back up. Why is that? Well, as I've been saying for some days now, there is a mean reversion happening to the 3012 RMLR on the 3 hour time frame, currently up at around 60.3 thousand or so. And there is an RMLR mean reversion happening to the 3012 RMLR on the 4 hour time frame, which is now down at around 62,000 and change, if my memory serves me correctly from looking at the charts about a half hour ago. And so those mean reversions are very much in progress and have been for some days. Does that mean that it has to shoot up to there today? No, it doesn't have to shoot up to there today. In fact, it can take all weekend and go into next week and, take its jolly old time. In fact, it could go sideways and down to complete that mean reversion if it doesn't complete it until early next week. Right? It doesn't actually have to even go up at all from where it is. But do the probabilities indicate that it might today? Yes, the probabilities overall indicate that it might very well do that today. Why? Well, look at the volatility on the daily and lower time frames. The 4 hour, the 90 minute, 33 minute, 30 minute, 15 minute. Work your way all the way down to the 1 minute. Get yourself a workflow from high time frames down to low time frames every time you start a new trading session to understand what's happening on the bigger picture of the higher time frames, and work your way down to see what's happening on the lower and lower and lower time frames to see how the changes are happening and how that affects the higher time frames. So are we likely to see the assets complete the mean reversions to the 3012 RMLR of the 3 hour before it hits the third standard deviation band of that RMLR to the downside again? Yes, we are extremely highly likely to see that happen, which means do not be surprised if it does go up to around 62K and some change today. And also don't be surprised, 60.3K or something like that on the 3 hour. And don't be surprised if we see it go up to the 62.4 area or whatever it is for the 3012 RMLR on the 4 hour time frame. It could easily happen today. Again, it doesn't have to, but it certainly could. And today is a Friday. We tend to see some nice action on Fridays, especially at the end of a month. And this is the last trading day of the month. The reason we tend to see a lot of action on the last trading day of the month has a lot to do with futures, options traders. We tend to want to close out their positions at certain times of the day of the month. This is the last trading day of the month, right? And then we have a long weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Markets are closed. Traditional markets are closed. Of course, crypto is still open 24/7. You can trade Bitcoin or any other crypto that trades 24/7, which is just about all of them. There are a few exceptions to that because some of them take a day off. I know it sounds crazy to some people or most people, but there are in fact some crypto coins that don't trade either on Saturdays or on Sundays for their various for the religious reasons of their founders. And even though it's some on Friday, they don't trade. Anyway, but the point is, 99.9999999% of all crypto is 24/7, and you can trade them anytime, including Bitcoin and all the other majors. And yes, it is highly probable that we will see the assets complete those mean reversions to the 3012 RMLR on the 3 hour and the 4 hour in the coming candles. Certainly more likely that they'll do that than actually touch those the third standard deviation bands to the downsides again. Hey, what's up? Hey, hey, people in the live chats. I look like a Trump supporter. Okay, well, you can think whatever you like. I actually don't like politicians in general. I think they're pretty much all liars, scoundrels, and thieves, and that includes all of the top candidates for office, whether they're running for president or some other thing. And that's not just in the US, it's in pretty much every country on earth. I don't trust politicians. I mean, I don't hate them necessarily. Hate is a wasted energy. But I just don't, listen, a politician's job is to lie, cheat, and steal, and to be scoundrels. And they break their promises all the time. When they say something that they promise, they're usually lying. When they say, I didn't know, they usually knew. When they say, I knew this would happen, they usually didn't. Why? Because that's part of their job description. I hate to tell you, if you don't know how politics works, I worked in politics for a good number of years. I was a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. And yay, wonderful. Some politicians are great. I mean, they're great people personally, a lot of them. In fact, I've met Biden and I've met Trump, and I've spent quite a long time on train rides speaking with Biden back in the day. Yes, he used to ride the train, and yes, I used to sit next to him a lot and talk with him about politics and stuff. But I spoke with him mostly about how it had to do with technology and marketing and internet and stuff like that back in the mid-90s when I was running a lobby that was dealing with interactive technologies and the internet and everything. And I advised President Clinton and his Presidential Council on Critical Infrastructure Protection. And I gave advice to them. I presented testimony to the U.S. Senate. I was the first person ever to do a presentation live on TV that was a webcast before the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee. And we demonstrated why web commerce, e-commerce is a very useful and powerful thing that would be growing in importance over the coming decades. And we were right. Our lobby worked on things like internet governance, domain name governance, taxation, protection of children, all kinds of different regulations that we wanted to make sure the industry could self-regulate if possible. So am I a Trump supporter? First of all, I don't say who I support or not, but I can tell you I don't like any politicians. Make of that what you will. I haven't voted for Trump, and I don't think I'm not going to judge anybody for who they vote for. Okay, America is a still theoretically free country in some ways, and I'm not going to judge somebody based on who they vote for. Personally, I don't trust any politician, left or right, Democrat or Republican. I'm not going to tell you who I support or don't support in this election. And it's really moot to my discussion about crypto and trading. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. A lot of politicians, left and right, are saying, oh, the government should own a lot of crypto. I don't agree. I think the government should own practically no crypto. It's not their business to be in it. The only reason they want it is to control the money of the future, and that's what they view as their business. But I disagree with that. I don't think central banks should own the majority of it. I don't think whales should own the majority of it. I don't think big banks should own the majority of it. I don't think big financial institutions own the majority of it. But guess what? They do. Right? 91% of all Bitcoin is already in the hands of whales who are never going to sell. That means there's only 3% that is in the hands of retail traders, and the other 6% has yet to be mined over the next 116 years. So do I support one political side over the other? No, I don't support politicians in general, as I've made clear. I hope that's clear to you. And what I can say is if you want to learn how to trade the VEPs and not miss the next moves, like the mean reversions that were very obvious yesterday and are very obvious today as they are, come and learn at Alpha Trading. Join the live stream. It's free. You can interact in the live stream. It's an educational live stream. We do those live streams to teach people how to trade with the VEPs. You can ask questions about how our tools work. You can ask questions about any assets you want to see charted with them. Just go to alphatradinghq.com/discord. Once again, that's alphatradinghq.com/discord. And you can get yourself free access to our volatility starter kit of indicators, which will give you all the tools that you need to learn how to trade volatility, probability, and statistics. We'll even give you a pre-populated chart for free that includes those indicators on them. So it makes it easier for you to set it up and use it. Give you all the educational information you need to learn, how-to tutorials, how-to videos, tutorial videos, documentation that's really good. I wrote the authoritative book on trading the VEPs, and it was edited by my fellow co-founders at Alpha Trading. Hat tip to Andy, our man in the future. And and again, I don't, when it comes to the political question, I don't hate Trump supporters. I don't hate Trump. I don't hate Biden. I don't hate Biden supporters. To me, politics is politics. It hasn't really, it's a thing. And I ignore the news when it comes to trading because news does not determine the trades. The trades determine the news. I'll get the news. If you show me the charts, I'll tell you the news because it's always that way. And I mean, always. So, and there's people in our Discord who have a wide variety of views. We don't all have the same political views, and that's fine. We get along as traders. It's a very friendly community of traders. Come on in, join the fun, learn to trade, a better way to trade. Okay, that's going to do it for now. I'm out of here and see you guys later. Happy trading. Cheers.